As you guys are being seated, we're going to have a special speaker this evening, our brother, Che Willis.
What's up, family? How y'all doing? Good, good, good. Man, this is such an honor for me to be here tonight to talk to you all. My honey's coming down the aisle. But anybody who knows me, a lot of you guys don't really know me. But for me to be standing here today is a huge deal. And as I was walking around and praying, and I was just thinking about how the enemy knew that I was coming here today, back when I was younger, and he tried to stop me. And anybody who's done any type of public speaking knows that you have to have confidence. And if the enemy can take your confidence away from you, then you're done. You know, you can't get that message across. And just being in this house, my man here, I thank you, man, because back when we were at the old church, and I think this is all a part of my process, Fred Price came up and said, hey, does anybody, not being filled with tongues or whatever, and they want to be filled with tongues? I'm like, yeah. And I remember you praying over me, and I cried like a baby. It was crazy, like the weight of whatever I was dealing with at the time. It was amazing. And I think that was all a part of my process, because after that happened to me, I started hearing God speak to me, not audibly, but on the inside. Read my word. I'm watching TV. I'm enjoying my Cowboys playing football. You know what I'm saying? And I would hear, read my word, and I'm like, now. Yes, now. Put the TV on mute or turn the TV off, and I would read, and then I would get back to the game, and then I would hear it again. Read my word. And it was all a process for me to build relationship. Like, quoting scriptures and all that, that's cool, right? But building relationship with God is what it's all about. And the closer you get to him, you'll start hearing him speak to you more. And not just about relationships that you have, but like people that you maybe need to step away from, or investments, or business opportunities, different things of that nature. But when you start partnering with God and start listening to him and reading his word and getting to know him, I'm telling you, your life is going to change forever. So I don't know who needed to hear that. That's not my message. But I don't know who needed to hear that. But today, I talk about financial literacy a lot. More so about budgeting and investing and what it has done for my life, what it has done for my baby's life and my son as well, and how we're changing things for our family just because of the different things. And I'm going to talk about the different things that I went through as a child, my wife went through as a child, and trying to break that generational pattern, not curse, generational pattern. So here we go. All right. So before we get started, I want everybody to just look at your neighbor, because we're gonna talk nice to each other today. All right. We're gonna talk nice to each other, and I want you to say it loud, and I want you to say it like you mean it. You ready? And my youngins is in the back. They go through this class, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit later. But they know the saying. I will be a millionaire someday soon. Investing is one of the tools I can use to help me get there. I thank God he gives me the power to make wise decisions with my income. And when I become a millionaire, I will help others with the information I have. Let's go. Does that feel good? Let's go. And though every time I say, like, when I do this with the kids, it fills me up every time, every time. One of my favorite quotes, and this is going to probably ring through this whole talk that we're going to do tonight, is a Napoleon Hill quote. I love reading books. I was an awful reader as a kid, and as an adult, I love reading books now. So every adversity comes with it the seed of an equivalent benefit. I'm going to say it again. Every adversity comes with it the seed of an equivalent benefit. So what does that mean? Everything that you go through, there is a lesson for you to learn if your perspective is right. Now, I'm not going to say that when you go through things it feels good, because it doesn't at the time, right? But if your perspective is right, you can extract the lesson that you need to learn to get to the other side, right? So anybody who knows me, I grew up in a small town called Ardmore, Pennsylvania. If you don't know, I went to school with Kobe Bryant, so Lower Merion High School, I went there. But the thing about it is, and I always tell this story, I think it's important because if you hear that, you'll think, oh, well, they grew up rich. No, that's not the case. I grew up in a house with many other family members in the house. We had some challenges with drugs and alcohol and grew up in the crack era. So anybody who's made it out of the crack era knows what that looked like. It was not fun. And the thing about it is that when I went to school, I saw abundance because it was one of the wealthiest school districts in the United States. So when I went to school, I saw, kids getting cars, their parents buying them cars, and they pulling up the mansions and just nice houses and all these nice things. And I'm going back home to a bunch of other family members. I'm sharing a room with a family member. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in here that did that, but that showed me and gave me desire. And it was a burning desire because I knew what it looked like if I didn't do the right things, if I didn't work hard, if I didn't study, if I didn't save my money and do all those things, what it would look like if I didn't do those things. So Proverbs 4:5 says, get wisdom, get understanding. Get wisdom, get understanding. Now, what does wisdom really mean? Wisdom is the ability to use knowledge, experience, and understanding and insight to make sound judgments. So if I go back to what I talked about with the seed of the equivalent benefit, I understand what if I don't manage my money right, if I don't do the things that I see at school, if I see rich people at school, how did they get there? I don't know how they got there, but I know what I didn't want, and I knew I needed to save my money if I wanted to have the things that I wanted to have, right? So those are the things that I learned from my family. I learned love, I learned hard work, and I learned about saving. Now, when we talk about being wealthy, which we're going to get to, I think a lot of us learned about saving, right? But what do we do with the money that we save? We just keep it in the bank? Yeah, that's not really the way. That's not going to get you wealthy. Putting it in the bank. You got to make that money move. And what we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about how you're going to save the money, and then what do you do with the rest of the money. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. All right? So, desire. Desire is huge, man. I think that's where abundance starts. It starts up here. If you look around this building, if you go downtown Philadelphia, if you just walk outside, everything that you see started up here in somebody's mind. It works the same way with you. So what I want you to do, if you don't mind, I want you to close your eyes, please. Except the security team, please. Okay. And I want you to, if you're not where you want to be financially, if you're not where you want to be in your home, in your finances, think about what that looks like for you. Are you going on vacations once a month? Are you living on a golf course? Are you playing golf every other day? It's near and dear to my heart, if you didn't know. What does that look like for you? So what I want now, now that I woke you up from your dream, I want 3 people to just pop up and tell me what that looks like for you. Anybody? Don't nobody want to talk about their dreams. Not checking prices. Go ahead, my man. Retire early. What's that? And my man. And we gonna play together. Oh yes, sir. At the men's conference, I'm gonna see you too. Don't worry about that. Who else? My man, what you got? Let's go. Let's go. And that's where it starts. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Right? You need to think about that. Also, one of the things I always say too is that your environment will tell you everything you need to know. Your environment will tell you everything that you need to know. Did you grow up around poverty? Did you grow up around drugs? Did you grow up around alcohol? And if you did, you know how that story ends. So it would make sense, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it would make sense if you know how that story ends, not to do that. Or if you don't know how to save money or invest, if you don't know, you know not to spend more than your means, like go above your means, right? Because you know how that story ends. So one of the tricks of the enemy is he'll tell you, oh, well, you don't know how to budget your money. You don't know how to save your money. Don't worry about that. You'll get to it later. And then later never comes, right? So don't focus on what you don't know. Focus on what you do know. You know how that story ends if you're overindulging in alcohol and drugs and things of that nature. You know how that story ends. If you're not saving your money or if you're not investing your money, you know how that story ends because that may have been the way you grew up. All right? And what is your why? That's huge, man. You hear a lot of people talking about their why. What is your why? Everybody's why is going to be different. My why is going to be different than Elder's why, your why. It's going to be different. My why is I remember how it was sleeping with another family member, not in the same room. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want that for my son. I wanted my son to have his own room, his own bathroom. That's what I wanted for us. I wanted to be wealthy. Although I didn't know exactly how to go about it, I knew exactly what I wanted. My why is for my son to grow up the way that I saw the kids that I went to school with. I wanted to be those kids, if that makes sense. So that was my why, not to want for anything, but you got to make the decisions. You got to make good decisions, right? And now that you know what you want, you have to keep the end in mind. So I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, but if anybody doesn't know, my wife and I, we just, last November, around this time, we paid our house off, right? So, thank you. It was amazing. And the thing about it is, we kept the end in mind. It took 7.5 years to do it, but we kept the end in mind. It was a battle, man. She will probably tell you. It was a battle at times, but I feel like it was the enemy trying to drive a wedge between us so we could stop. So I couldn't be standing here telling you about the story of us paying our house off. So when you guys go through different challenges and things of that nature, you have to think, why am I going through this? Why am I really going through this? And it's the enemy trying to stop you from telling somebody else, to inspire somebody else, that if they did it, I can do it too. I'm standing here because Elder Rick Edwards and his wife stood up here at the old church, I think it was, and they talked about their testimony of them buying cars and with cash and paying houses. And I'm like, who does that? But it started with them to inspire me, and now it's started with me to maybe inspire somebody in this crowd or somebody who's watching on YouTube. So you never know who you're going to be affecting. Now that we know what we want, how do we get wealthy? How does it start? It starts with saving first and investing, right? But the word budget, how does that make people feel? I feel like when I talk to people about budgets, I do budget coaching with people, and they feel tight. When you bring that word up, man, they get tight. And because they feel like I can't do certain things. And maybe you can for a time, but it's not forever. But the alternative is if you don't get your spending under control, and no shade to anybody working in a big box store past retirement age, but that's what that looks like. If you don't get your spending under control, you're going to have to work past retirement age because you didn't put away money for the future. And that's what we're here today. Pastor has me up here today to talk to you guys about that, so it doesn't happen to anybody in this church. Okay? What does it mean? What does it mean to live below your means? Like spend less than you make, right? And that's what that means. And a budget, all a budget is a listing your income and your expenses. That's all it is. And you're telling your money where to go. That's all you're doing. What do I do with the extra money? Oh, when we get to this part, man, I get excited. You can probably see it, but I get excited talking about investing just because I remember little cousins when I turned the light on and they used to run around the house. Y'all know the vibes. Don't act like I'm the only one. Don't do that. I remember that. And that was the thing that drove me to want to do more. So when I talk about investing and I look at my account and the youngins in the back that I work with, when I would see their portfolios and things of that nature that is growing, I get excited because I know what's possible for them. So, and then we have to be consistent. Pastor talks about this all the time, man, about us being consistent and what consistency will do for you. But not just being consistent, you have to start seeing results. If anybody knows me prior to 2020, I lost 60 plus pounds during the pandemic. But I battled with weight all my life. And when I started seeing results and I understood the tricks of the enemy that was happening to me that made me battle weight all my life, I would work out, I would lose weight. Them Doritos look good. Them honey buns look good. And I'm eating because I feel like I'm okay. Like I can do that. But I would gain the weight right back, and then I would lose it, and then I would gain it, and then I would lose it. But what I learned during that time frame is what not to do. It's wisdom. I'm making different decisions based on what I saw in the past, right? So consistency is the only cheat code. Like, you will not be wealthy. You will not be, if you're trying to lose weight or a good father, husband, provider, if you are not consistent in the thing that you're doing. It's not going to happen. So we got to be consistent. Budgeting mistakes. The most common budgeting mistake that I see with working with people is, and I fell victim to this way back when, is you have your income, you have your expenses, and then you blow the rest. I'm running it up. And the problem is that we made more money than our parents have ever made, probably, for the most part in this room, right? And we feel like, oh, I work hard, I deserve it. You don't, okay? I'm here to tell you don't. So if you feel like that and you have debt, car payment, credit cards, student loans, different things of that nature, it would make sense to go ahead and pay those things down so you can really get to the money. And then you can really invest and see your account going up. And then you can tell other people about it like we talked about earlier. Now when you up, now you can tell the story for the people who are coming behind you. Okay? We were never taught. So we don't budget because we're fearful. We're fearful of being restricted. But I will tell you, once you start seeing your expenses go down, you get to keep that money. You get to keep the money. I'm telling you, it's amazing. And you don't think about the little you. We talk about, my wife and I, we talk about the little us. The things that we're doing now, we're taking care of the little us. As we were growing up, we didn't like the things that we saw. We didn't like the things that we may have gone through. So now, every decision that we make for our son, we're protecting ourselves, if that makes sense. So you have to keep the little you in mind as you're on this journey. Man. Another budgeting mistake is we don't pick targets. So a target is, or for us, was our house. That was a target. My wife, when we combined our finances, her student loan, that was a target. Like, we knock the target down, we celebrate, we build momentum, we're excited because we did something. And it gives us the belief that if we could pay off a student loan that was, I don't know if it was $10,000, I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, why couldn't we pay our house off? And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why not? But we have to build momentum. And everybody knows somebody who's working past retirement age. And anybody who knows it's not fun to see somebody having to get up because they might not have made the right decisions with their money because they only were able to work with the information that they had at the time, right? So they didn't know. But now that you know, you got to make different decisions. So use the people, again, wisdom, use the people that you see, the people that are family members, to know that this road doesn't end well. So I need to make different decisions. So I need to invest. I need to save my money. I need to get my money right, put my money where it needs to go so I can live comfortably. So when retirement age comes, I'm golfing with my man. You know what I'm saying? All right. Okay. So the budget. So the budget, again, is what we're doing now. Again, we're just turning budgeting and we're flipping it now. Like before, budgeting when we were younger, or our grandparents or our parents, it was we have our income, we have our expenses, and then we're spending the rest. And that's what we're doing. So now what we're doing, or the way we're thinking about it now, is we have our income, we have our expenses, now we're paying down debt. So again, if you're paying down debt and you pay it off, you get to keep the money. So it's more long-term thinking that we have to do in order for us to get to where we want to go. And we got to keep that in mind. The significance of an emergency fund is huge when you're budgeting. So an emergency fund is like you have a pile of money, and this goes into your budget, and we're going to get into it. But the emergency fund and how to save for one goes into your budget. It's a line item that gets put into your budget. So when you have, let's just say, a blown tire or your car breaks down, you don't have to swipe a credit card. That you have the idea, yeah, I'm going to pay that card off next month. Next month comes, something else comes up. And now you're paying finance charges, and that's keeping you down. It's keeping you down. So the emergency fund, sorry about that. The emergency fund is going to be huge in your journey because it's going to keep your reliance off of credit cards and keep the reliance on you because you made good decisions so you don't have to pay the price later, if that makes sense. Understand what you're doing is not a sprint. I told you before, my wife and I took 7.5 years to get to that point to pay the house off. But before that, we had to pay other things off. Her car, my car, student loan, my student loans, her student loans. Like, it was all a process. So it's not going to take, it's going to take a long time depending on what your situation is. However, once you get to that point, I'm telling you, like, just think about this. You have a car payment, you have student loans, you have a mortgage, and then calculate that, and then think about if you no longer had to pay those things, and how much money you can to go on vacations and to save money for your kids' college, because you know how much it costs to pay student loans. Again, wisdom. You know how it feels. Take care of the little you. and take care of your kid, not have to pay student loans. Celebrate small wins. My wife and I, when we were on our journey to pay the house off, we had a little thermometer in our laundry room, and it had little tick marks on it. So every time we got to a little tick mark, we colored it in as a family, and we celebrated. We would go out to dinner, or we would just celebrate playing a game at home, but we would celebrate. And my son, he was, I think, 8 or 9, as we were on the process, but he would always ask me, Dad, where are we in the process? Like, what's going to happen when we pay the house off? So he's involved, so he's getting financial literacy, and we're not really having to say anything. He's watching our actions. And that's where financial literacy, starts at, like watching the actions. And we need to focus on progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. Baby, close your ears, please. Please. All right. So listen, just don't tell her I said it. When we started out budgeting together, it was awful. It was terrible because she spent her money one way, I spent my money one way. But what I realized by going to this church, listening to different sermons, is that we needed to combine our finances. So if you're married and you don't combine your finances, go ahead and do it. Just rip the Band-Aid off, and y'all need to talk about it, because think about this. You're a team. You're raising a child together. You're paying bills together. Why not work together? Because what happens is, when you don't, pride creeps in. And I told her this before, and I set it up on the stage before, that when we used to argue over different things, it would pop up in my head. I didn't say this, so don't judge me. What will pop in my head is, I don't need you. I got my own money. I'm doing well. I can go. How dumb is that? I married this woman. I got a kid with her. Like, what are we doing? But when you combine the finances together, it takes pride completely out of the way, because you guys are working together as a team. And then once we did that, boy, we were off to the races. Her loans were paid off, and then we started attacking just different things and going on different trips and stuff like that, because we were working together as a unit. So, again, think about progress over perfection, and don't be afraid to rip the Band-Aid off and combine your finances. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's going to be tough. Like, I feel like the first 2 years, because me and my wife are like alphas. Not the Greek. I'm a Kappa, but we're like alpha males, right? So it's like she got to have her way, I got to have my way, and then sometimes we just leave the table upset. But we stuck with it. Again, that was the enemy trying to drive a wedge between us to get us off of the goal, for me not to be able to stand here and inspire somebody in here like Rick Edwards inspired me. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Now we're going to get, All right, how do I grow my money? How do I grow my money? You can, once you pay off all of your debts, your consumer debts, cars, student loans, credit cards, different things of that nature. Now you have more money. Let's just say you wanted to start a business. Shout out to my sister over there who opened up a restaurant. Shout out. You know what I'm saying? But think about you wanting to start a business. You have capital now to start the business, because you have more money in your budget that you can put to said business. You can go on vacations. You can do a lot of different things, but we're talking about growing the money. Let me bring it back in. I'm sorry. So investing is, again, one of the tools that's going to help you get to being a millionaire, if that's what you choose to be. Everybody may not want to be there, but at the end of the day, you do want to live a comfortable life. You don't want to have to work past retirement age. We don't want to do that. All right? How do I get started? It starts with the budget. You cannot build any type of wealth without a budget. All right? Income, expenses. What do I do with the rest? Put it on a debt. Pay the debt off. Now you got more money. Now you can invest it. If you're not comfortable investing on your own, you do have financial advisors out there. I'm not a financial advisor, but you do have financial advisors out there who are good people who are not trying to take advantage of you. I have a financial advisor, my wife, and me and my wife have a college savings plan for our son, and we put money in there every month. That went into the budget every month to invest for him, right? So the cool part about, and I'm kind of taking a side journey here, but same thing, investing. The cool part about this this investment vehicle that we have for our son now, right, is that if he doesn't use all of the money for school, they now put a law in place where I think you're allowed to put either $25,000 or $35,000 into an IRA for him. He's 18 years old. Can you imagine how much money that's going to be by the time he's 62 or retirement age? My man going to be eating. He's going to be in good shape. Again, it goes back to what I learned when I was young and what I didn't want for him. So we got to set him. We got to set our kids up, and not just giving them things. We got to teach them the lessons too. We got to give them the information. Now, you may not know everything, and that's fine. You got to start somewhere. You may be able to just tell them about the mistakes that you may have made, and that's okay. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes. My wife makes mistakes. But we have to give them the lessons that they need to be able to function when you're no longer here. And that's very important, man. So the types of investments that me and my baby love, we enjoy. Sorry, Pastor. We enjoy, not love, okay? Real estate and stock market and our own individual businesses. So one of the things that we started early on is investing in real estate. Now, if you do want to be a millionaire or whatever the case may be, I believe that real estate is going to be the fastest way to get you there. And the reason I say that is because real estate, for the most part, is going to appreciate every year. Now, let's just think about if you own the real estate outright and you're renting it. Just like the stock market, you get a dividend. But you own the asset, and then you're pulling a dividend from it every month to be able to do whatever you want to do with it. Reinvest it back into your business, I would say. But you get to do whatever you want to do with that money. So you're getting money from your regular job if that's what you do, if that's what you have. And then you have this other thing, income producing thing that's just making you more money. So when you want to retire, you can do that, and you can do it comfortably. So there's so many different options that we have. One of the other things I'll say is when we do this, we gotta show our kids, right? So I started a project with my son, my niece, my two nephews, right? And it's something small, but it's impactful, I believe. So my thing is we would give them, I would give them 5 questions regarding financial literacy. What is a stock? What is the interest rate? What is a budget? What is debt? So what is a student loan? Just different things of that nature. So I would give them the questions in the middle of the month. They would have to have the questions back to me before the end of the month, answered. They would send them back to me. I would give them a Zoom link to jump on a couple days later. So when they would jump on the Zoom link, we would talk about all their answers. And then after that, I would give them $25 each to invest in whatever stock that they wanted. But how was I able to do that? Lowered my expenses in my business, so now my investments are investing in them. So they're getting the lessons of the stock market, stuff that I wish I had known when I was younger. Wisdom, again. Thinking about that, and then how far I would have been if I had known all of these things that I'm now teaching them. So again, we're taking care of the little us, and we have to show our family and friends exactly how we're getting to where we're going. It's very, very important. And I felt like I needed to say this. We have to watch out for scammers, okay? When we're on our wealth building journey, we just want the problem to go away. Like if you got debt, you just want the problem to go away. So, all right, cool. I see this debt consolidation commercial. I'm going to call them immediately. I hear my man got this this friend who can turn my $50 into 100,000. Like, fam, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so we have to understand it took us time to get into the situation that we're in, and it's going to take us time to get out. But the most important thing is all of the lessons we learn along the journey. That's the most important thing. Like getting out of is cool, but what did we learn so we never go back? It's very important. Things to watch out for. You have an enemy. I talked about the enemy earlier. How he plays tricks on your mind. He just fills your mind with different things. You can't do it. It'll never happen for you. Oh, good for them. That's cool for them, but that'll never happen for me because I'm in this situation that I'm in. Like, the enemy would love nothing more than to isolate you from this body of believers, to make you feel like you're the only one going through whatever you're going through. Think about the time that you had been isolated from people, and then you got with somebody and you started talking to them they're like, oh, yo, I was just going through that. And you're like, oh, you dummy, I should have been around you the whole time, because the enemy's going to make you think that you're the only one going through whatever you're going through. So one of the things also about the enemy is the procrastination is the enemy of progress. You may say to yourself, oh, well, I'll get to that later. I'm gonna do that budgeting thing later. I'm gonna talk to that investment advisor later. But when does later ever come? It never happens. So I would encourage you to, whatever you take from what we're talking about tonight and anything that you get from it, we gotta act on it. We got to act on it. And you may not know everything, but you got to take the little steps. And then the little steps, they turn into walking, and then the walking turns into running. But you got to get comfortable doing the little things first before you start running. Other enemies, drugs and alcohol. My dad passed away 2018 from diabetes. He had diabetes because he drank a lot, right? And I'm going to say with 100% certainty that that's not what he set out to do. Like, so, but you have to understand how it happens. You're out partying with your friends, have a little drink on, let's just say a Saturday, and then you feel good, you have a good time, and then next Saturday comes, oh, we're going to do it again, boom. And then that Saturday turns into Wednesday. And then that Wednesday and Saturday turns into Friday, Saturday and Wednesday. And the next thing and it doesn't happen that quick, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, I feel like we all either been through it or know somebody. That was the road that I was going down. After I saw what my dad was going through, I was still drinking, I'm partying. Man, that's never gonna happen to me. That's pride. That'll never happen to me is pride. So if you're going down that road and you need help, it's okay to ask for help. Pride will tell you, they don't know what I'm going through. I don't need your help. I'm gonna get clean on my own. It's cool. It's not gonna happen. I remember distinctly God talking to me and said, yo, you need to slow down. But if I had not had the relationship before from you praying over me that day and listening constantly, read my word, I was sensitive to hear his voice to tell me to slow down, because I may not be standing here today talking to you about it, because I might have been drinking and driving. Boom, I get in an accident, I'm out of here. Life cut short because I didn't yield to God's voice. So that's my drug and alcohol story, but I'm sure everybody else in here has a story or knows somebody who's gone through something and how it's ruined their life. So again, you know how that story ends, so why go down that road? And also, it steals from your wealth too, man. Like, think about all the hospital bills and the nursing home. Like, I was willing, and I didn't even have it back then. I was willing to put my dad in a different nursing home just because I hated seeing him where he was. It was like a Medicaid facility. It was I didn't like it personally for him, and I was willing to give money to get him in a better facility, and he was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna stay here." And then he ended up passing away a couple of weeks later. But I feel like he may have known. You know what I'm saying? But drugs and alcohol, they steal from your wealth. They'll steal from you. Okay? Again, you have an enemy. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. So if your friends are doing things that don't line up with where you're trying to go, it may behoove you to step away from them for a little while until you're strong enough to be around them and not indulge in the things that they're indulging in. I can say that I had to step away. I was just, getting out of college. I was making a little money. I was killing them out there, making $28,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? I was killing them. You know what I'm saying? And but the thing is, like I was making money in my head, and I was going out to the bar. I was hanging out, and I just felt like I needed to slow down. I was getting into God a little bit more, reading a little bit more, and I understood what that road led to. Also, I was a newly married man. So the things that I was doing before I was married and engaged, I couldn't do anymore. Couldn't do it. So it made sense for me to step off from my friends because they were not married. So I can't do single people things if I'm married. So I needed to step off. Hear that, baby? Yeah, this a wild one right here, so be careful. But the thing about it is, does it feel good? Absolutely not. But all the lessons, again, that you learn along the way, and especially if you're getting closer to God, hearing his voice, he's going to give you different things that you can do. And he's also going to provide friends for you later on. So you may be in that alone period for a time, but I promise you it's worth it. And your friends may call you a lame, like, yo, you don't hang out no more. What are you doing? You leaving the party early so you can go to church the next day? Like, you going where? You doing what? Fam, I'm going to church. I'll see y'all later. And so you'll see those friends, or some of them, still doing the same things years later. Nothing changes. They're still partying. They're still hanging out. And what do they have to show for it? So think about that. Church is a great place to have accountability partners. That's huge to keep you on track. So if you're not married and you don't have that person that can speak into your life and speak good things to you, you got to get that person that may be in your church or maybe work or whatever the case may be to hold you accountable for doing the right things or doing the things that you said that you were going to do. And it's good for them to call you out. Again, pride will tell you, fam, who are you talking to? I'm grown. I'm making $28,000 a year. You can't don't tell me. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like, you need those people in your life to tell you where you're going wrong. And you need to respect them enough to understand that they have your best interest at heart. They're not just trying to tell you something just to tell you what to do. They're trying to help you stay on track, to stay committed to what you said you were trying to do. All right? I like talking nice to myself. So speaking to yourself good things. There's enough negativity in the world. There's enough negativity on social media. There's enough negativity on the news. My wife knows I hate watching the news. Anything negative, I don't like watching it just because I have enough going on in my head that I have to deal with to then add more stuff that whatever's going on with Puff Daddy or whoever else, I don't want to hear none of that. Like, that's not helping me at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Baby oil, and I don't want to hear none of that. Like, that has nothing to do with my life. So but the thing is, like, if I'm having a bad day I like to speak nice to myself. Good things are happening for you. And I say it over and over and over again because life can get stressful. If you're a business owner, it can get stressful. If you're just a 9-to-5 employee, that can be stressful. If you're a husband, father, church member, like life can just be stressful all in itself. So you gotta have somebody, if nobody else can talk nice to you, you gotta talk nice to yourself. Good things are happening for me. And then I talked about it before, that will never happen to me. That's pride. So if you think that you're the exception to the rule and you can keep doing what you're doing, keep drinking, doing the things that you're doing, keep spending money the way you're spending it, doing all these different things, again, I'm telling you, the road doesn't end well. And I'm sure you have an example of somebody in your family or somebody that you're close to that has done the things that you're probably indulging in, and it just doesn't end well. So don't allow pride to tell you that it'll never happen to you. So quit while you're ahead. All right? Mindset. I used to hear people in corporate and things of that nature, oh yeah, mindset, you got to have a strong mindset. Like, I don't want to hear none of that. Like, I just want to get to the money. I don't want to hear nothing about no mindset. But mindset is so important. Like, in order just to function properly, you got to have a strong mindset. But then if you're adding on, again, being a father, husband, wife, a mother, business owner, 9-to-5 employee, like, you got to have a strong mindset just to be able to get out of the bed and brush your teeth. Like, there's so much going on in our head just trying to take up space, negativity, all those different things. So you got to have a strong mindset. What I started doing, and Pastor talked about it when we were back at the old building, is he said Automobile University. Now, I don't think it was him that made it up. I think he read a book and then got it from somebody. But either way, Automobile University. So what I used to do, when I heard that, I would turn the radio off, and then I would listen to sermons. Because if you know, Sundays, and if you come on Wednesdays, like if you come here on Wednesdays and you come here on Sundays, that's still not enough. Things still come up, you still get frustrated, you still get angry, you might lash out, I don't know, but it's not enough, right? So listening to things that are going to fill your mind with good things, like, you need that. So if it's a podcast, if it's a book, I got a couple of different recommendations here. If y'all write down notes, Think and Grow Rich is an amazing book. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill is an amazing book. The Power of Focus, Financial Peace, Dave Ramsey's books. That's what got us started on our financial journey. Podcast. If nobody knows, I have a podcast talking about financial literacy, talking about different things that I've gone through on YouTube. It's called Wealth is a Journey Podcast. Go and subscribe. But listen, so like, listening to those different things, those different reminders, you need those reminders to keep you on track. You have to. Reading those different books. Leaders are readers. It's so true, because the more I read, the more I know what I don't know. Like, there's so much different information in books or the Bible. One thing I love about the Bible, by the way, I just want to make sure I say this, is that when God spoke to somebody else benefited. So if God told Joseph something, or God told David something, when they got out of the will of God, when David got out of the will of God, he lost. But when he was in the will of God and he did what God told him to do, he won. Jesus, God told him to do something, everybody else benefited as a result of what his obedience was. So if you can get and start reading the Bible and start understanding how God works and the things that he may be telling you, but you may not hear it because you're not really spending time with him, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. I made sure I wanted to say that. A lot of times when we're in church and we hear sermons, you might be hearing this. We get excited. But then when we go home, we do absolutely nothing. So my charge to you today is if I said anything that's touched your heart to jumpstart you to start doing something, maybe financially. We're about to have DNA. Myself and my man Milton is we're going to do DNA next month. It's called Debt Never Again. If you guys are new or you haven't heard about it, but we've gotten some awesome testimonies about people paying off cars and credit cards and different things of that nature. And that's another accountability group that you guys can be a part of for next to nothing. Like I feel like that class should be filled up, and all it is we're holding each other accountable for doing the things and being the places that you say that you want to be in life, and we're giving you help. So I'm wrapping up. I want you guys again to please look at your neighbor one more time, please. And repeat after me. Now that I have the information to help me on my journey, I will take action. I may not have all of the answers, but I will take a step toward living the life I want to live starting today. Yes. So I want to thank you. I'm done now. I just want to pray over you guys real quick. I should have prayed in the very beginning. And if Abby from the security team was here, she would probably jump over this podium and punch me, because she always tells me when we start DNA, yo, you didn't pray. I'm like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and pray now. All right? Father God, we just thank you and praise you for this opportunity, Father. We thank you for wisdom, Father. We thank you that what you're doing for us as a body of believers, pulling the blinders off of our eyes to understand that building wealth that you want us to create to increase the kingdom is not as hard as we may have once believed. And we thank you for wisdom. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. And we just ask that everybody gets home safe. In Jesus' name, amen.